Hey guys, Harry here from the Art Gear Guide. Thanks very much for joining me today. As you can tell, I have a review here of Cretacolor Pastel Pencils. This is the 72 set. Now, I have wanted to get hold of these pastel pencils for quite some time, but for some reason, I'm not too sure what's happened, but they used to be quite expensive and they've come down quite significantly in price lately. Maybe I was just looking in the wrong places. I'm not too sure, but when I was looking for them, they were quite expensive. And also as well, one of the reasons why I kind of like reignited my desire to buy these pastel pencils was because Cretacolor have come out with some beautiful sets lately. Mainly along the lines of the sketch sets. You know, those types of sets where you get a selection of pencils like sanguine and white and umber, those types of colors. With you'll get a few blocks as well, pastel blocks, those types of things. They've come out with some of those sets, really gorgeous looking sets, that I would like to try and get hold of a couple of them, one or two of them, to review them as well. As I'm talking here, you'll see some images popping up of what I'm talking about, but they caught my eye and I thought to myself, Cretacolor are obviously kind of like doing a rebranding, so to speak, of some of their products at the minute. They're pushing them out. Cretacolor is a big name, but I feel that over the past couple of years, maybe the name, the brand and the name got swamped a little bit with, say, like some of these budget ranges that are coming on the line, online at the minute, as well as some of the higher end brands like Caran d'Ache and what have you, Faber-Castell and Derwent, and I think somewhere along the line they get swamped. But like I say, more recently they've come out with these new sets, and I've seen a lot more of their products popping up on social media, on Instagram and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that somebody somewhere in Cretacolor is trying to push the name out there again. Like I say, Cretacolor have always been a big name. They're an Austrian company, and I'm just glad to see it. Now, before I get into the actual review here of the pastel pencils, I just want to make one thing clear as well. Quite a while ago, when I first started out doing these reviews, I did a review of the Jerry's Artorama Soho colored pencils, and they are made by Cretacolor. And so now the Jerry's pencils look a little bit different than the Cretacolor colored pencils. So that's the only reason why I've never gone out and purchased the Cretacolor colored pencils, because they're exactly the same as the Jerry Soho range, and so, you know, I'd just be reviewing the same pencil really. So if you're interested and you want to know more about the Cretacolor colored pencils, I'll have a link down below where you can go across and see my review of the Jerry's Artorama Soho colored pencils. And that'll give you an idea of the type of pencil that you're going to get if you go out and purchase it. Now, what I will say is, like I said, that review was done quite a while ago. A lot of things have changed since then, like my audio and my lighting. So please excuse the lighting and the audio on that video. It is an old one. Okay, so let's take a look at this set here. So as you can see here, this is like I say, the 72 set. This is the biggest set that they have in this range. Now, I will say as well, alongside the pastel pencils, Cretacolor have pastel blocks. They're like long sticks, and they, interestingly enough, on their website, they only have a set of 12 of the blocks and a set of 24. But if you go across to, again, I'll have all these links in the written review, and I'll put some down below here in the description box. But if you go across to Jackson's Art, they have a full 72 set of the Cretacolor pastel blocks, which absolutely, they marry up exactly with these pencils. And so if you're looking for a complete range, I guess, of pastel blocks and pastel pencils, which I'll explain why you might want to do that later on when we get into this review, you can do, and you can have the blocks that'll perfectly match up with these pencils, exactly the same pigments and all the rest of it that are done in it. It's just two different mediums, two different ways of doing them. I will have a list of the various different set sizes that you can get over on the written review, as well as the prices for these pastel pencils. So if you want to know more about that, just go across to the written review. Now, as you've seen there, I just slid off this little cardboard sleeve. On the back here, we have a little bit of information, just letting you know, they're pastel pencils, various different languages as well. There is a light fast rating here, but I couldn't find anything regarding individual light fast ranges for the individual pencils. This little thing here, this light fast notice, just lets you. It just explains a little bit about how light fastness works and the LF5, so the ASTM range of LF5, LF1 being the most light fast. There's also some information down here at the bottom, just different things like, the eco energy, non-toxic, no rainforest has been destroyed and what have you, and the ASTM 4236, which again I think that's got nothing to do with the light fast. That's got to do with more with the wood and what have you, and environmental things that they're all keeping up to, so that's really good. So you can see here just a plain silver tin with the Cretacolor here at the top, which is really nice. I like this style. There's a couple of other brands do this type of thing, Lara being one of them. As we open the set up here, so straight away you can see that inside there is a little booklet, and the little booklet goes through some of the wonderful sets that they have out at the minute, like these artist sets, graphite sets, monolith graphite, which is just like bigger pencils, and charcoal sets as well. Lots and lots of sets, and also as well artist powders, which are just like sanguine, umber, black and grey, that you can get in jars of powder. And then on the other side here, the more colourful stuff, with your pastel pencils, aqua pencils, that type of thing. So Cretacolor have it all, and I will have a link to their website, which you can go across and take a little look at. Also inside here, which I've found this really nice and handy. I know some other brands do it, but Cretacolor have it in here as well. It's just a little sheet of sandpaper. Comes in this nifty little envelope. But it is really handy. Let me try and get it out. It's quite a coarse sandpaper, which is really good. But it's really, really handy whenever you're sharpening your pastel pencils, which again I'll talk about as we get into this review. So you can see here as well the now this is probably perhaps one of my only criticisms, or one of the few criticisms that I have of these pastel pencils, and that is there's flaps here so it's a two-tier pencil set. With it being the 72 set, it's got two tiers. So in order to lift them out, you've got these like paper flaps, which is great, but the actual plastic that the pencils are in is really flimsy, and I mean like really flimsy. I don't think I've seen come across another set of pencils where it's quite this flimsy. Where you lift it up, you can see there it's just buckling right in the center. Now I say it's a criticism, and I say as well that it is nitpicking, because the vast majority of artists now will store their pencils, their mediums or whatever, in their own storage units. Very few of us actually keep them in the tins, but for those who do want to keep them in the tins, this might become a little bit of a nuisance for you. It might become something that you have to be very careful about, because like I say, with pastel pencils, they are obviously a lot more brittle than coloured pencils. Whether you buy into the oil or wax thing, regardless, coloured pencils, although they do shatter, they're not as fragile as pastel pencils. And so if you're lifting them out and this bends over on you, it's just something that you got to be wary of. So let's take a look at the actual pencils themselves before we get into the full palette, and we'll talk about the actual pencil. So as always, there'll be images coming up on your screen here. The barrel is a 3.8 millimeter cord. Now that's pretty average for a pastel pencil. There are a couple of slightly bigger cord pastel pencils out there, but this is pretty average. The barrel itself is 7.5 millimeters, give or take. And as you can see here, the vast majority of the barrel is wood, and you can see this beautiful grain throughout the wood. Along one side of the barrel we have the company name here, Cretacolor, and then after that it says Fine Art Pastel, followed by Austria, which is the home of Cretacolor. And as you can see here, because you know these pencils don't have any of that metallic writing on it, like the gold leaf or the silver leaf, so the writing on these pencils is super easy to see, to read. It's kind of like this chocolate brown color against this really pale wood that they have used. On the other side we have the pigment name, and then the a number representing the pigment number as well. Sorry, the pigment name as well. Towards the very end here we have like this silver band that separates the barrel and the pigment identifier, which is just 1.5 inches long, or 1.25 inches long, sorry, pigment identifier. So it's fairly simple. Whenever you're reaching for a pencil, you've got this flash on the end that will help you visually represent the pigment that you want to grab quite quickly. And I have to say as well, as you'll see here in the swatches when I show you, they're quite similar. They're not, you know, I wouldn't get too head up. I know some people will really test the core against the pigment identifier to see what it is, but at the end of the day, to see how close they are. But at the end of the day, it is just an identifier, and it's just something to help you. If you've got, as I always say, with any medium that you get, you need to make sure that you create your own swatch on a similar type paper that you're likely to be using, and that is the best way that you're going to see what the color looks like, rather than just solely leaving it down to the pigment identifier. Okay, so as you can see here with the top layer, we start off with the whites and the yellows, going into the like the oranges, the vermilions. Overall, I absolutely love this palette, and we'll get into my favorite section in a second. But you can see here as well, really nice reds, like Madder Carmine, which is gorgeous. The Mars Violet Light is a beautiful color, as is the Rose Madder and the Old Rose Light. The Old Rose Dark as well, it's another gorgeous color, bluish purple. And the Mars Violet Dark, really, really gorgeous colors. Then we go into the blues here, which we've got, you know, your ultramarine, indigo, Prussian blue, into the slightly lighter blues here, this glacier blue, mountain blue, light blue. So a really nice range of blues here, from your very, very lights to your very, very darks, with the indigo there being nice and dark. And then we start drifting into the greens here. So we got a little bit of turquoise going on here. Fir green, pea green, gorgeous olive green light, and then French green, and moss green dark. And then the next layer down is perhaps my favorite, and that is so we still got a few more greens here, a few darker greens. A green earth light, which is a gorgeous color. Again, I'll be showing you these colors on the swatch in a second. Tan dark, tan light, which are more kind of pinky colors. I know the name says tan, dark and light, but they are kind of like more fleshy colors. Ivory, some dark and light ochre, and then we got these really kind of gorgeous earthy reds: English red, sienna, Indian red, sanguine dark, sepia dark, Van Dyke brown. These browns, these neutral tones here are gorgeous. This olive brown, sepia light, sanguine light, umber, really nice dark umber here. Then we got a Payne's grey. Then we come into perhaps my favourite part here of this palette, which is the greys. And we've got this smoky grey, green grey, yellow grey, white grey, light grey, cloud grey, silver grey, blue grey, elephant grey, pearl grey, black grey, dark grey, and ivory black. So a really gorgeous selection of greys. Now, I know the greys aren't everybody's cup of tea. For me, I always look at the greys and the greens. They are my colours, the colours that I really like to go to, especially in a medium like this, where I would more often than not be doing like either a botanical piece, or trying to be doing like a pet portraiture or a wildlife animal piece, which is what I've done for the artwork in this. Now, I just put out a caveat here. I am not very happy with the end result of the artwork that I've done with these pencils, and please know that is more down to my inability to work with pastel pencils than it is the pencils themselves. So just bear that in mind when I show you it. But let's take a look at the actual swatch here. Now, I've completed this swatch on some Hahnemühle Engrais paper. Now, the Engrais paper is, as you can see here, it's quite flimsy. So if you were going to use Engrais paper for any pastel work, you would have to mount it onto something like a board or cardboard or something like that, because when you go to frame it or send it somewhere or whatever, because of the flimsiness of the paper, it would all your pastel will come off, even if you do like a fixative over it. It's just not as sturdy a paper as some of the other papers that are out there for pastels at the minute, but that's a whole different thing to get into. As you can see here, again, going over this swatch, you can see the saturation of the colors from these pencils. Absolutely gorgeous. Now, pastel pencils are generally harder than, say, pastel blocks, or especially the likes of the Unison or the Terry Ludwig or some of those other, the Sennelier, really soft pastel cylinders or blocks. It depends. They all come in different shapes and sizes. Those blocks tend to be, a lot of those, handmade, and they are really, really rich in pigment. With the pencils, obviously, you've got a lot of different things in there, like binding agents and what have you. But you can clearly see here that with the Cretacolor Pastel Pencils, they are gorgeous colours from the pencils themselves. Now, just a thing to note. A lot of people, whenever they work with pastels, and I know there are some people who just don't like working with pastels because of the way they feel in the hand and things like that, and that's absolutely fine. I would say that there if you're really, really eager to use pastels, but it's just that thing that's putting you off, you could wear like surgical gloves, those types of things. I've seen people use those to take away from the fact that they could be touching the dust from the pastels, which I know some people have an issue with. Or like I say, pastel pencils could be another way to go for you. Now, a lot of pastel artists, my favourite pastel artist is Emma Colbert and Colin Bradley, who is a fantastic pastel pencil artist. Emma Colbert, she normally uses like unison pastels, and she will use the unison blocks very much like these. She'll use those and then kind of like come in with the detail with some pastel pencils. Whereas, like I say, Colin Bradley, he does some beautiful just pastel pencil work, and he uses a range of different pastel pencils. And there's other pastel artists out there like Gail Sibley, who is much more expressionist or impressionistic. Her work is a lot more loose and gorgeous and just vibrant colours and shapes and things like that. Absolutely gorgeous work from Gail Sibley. And then of course we have Jason Morgan, who is a pastel artist from Wales. So we have like Emma Colbert, who's from my home country of Northern Ireland, and Colin Bradley, who is from the UK here. Jason Morgan, who's a fantastic wildlife pastel artist. He is from Wales. And Gail Sibley is from America, I believe. America or Canada. I'm not 100% sure on Gail's location. But there are lots and lots of other tremendous pastel artists out there which you can go across and take a look for. The pastel artists that I've mentioned, and there is another one as well which I'll have the link to down below. Go across, check out their work if you're interested in learning about the pastels. But finally, down here on this swatch, you can see those greys that I was talking about. The brown grey, smoke grey, green grey, yellow grey. And they just have those really, really subtle little hints of yellow or green or whatever the colour is in it. But I just love them. I think they're absolutely beautiful, these greys. And I think they complement the overall palette beautifully. And I think as well that the palette is so well balanced. There's not too much of any colour in here. Sometimes you can find these palettes and they're, the burst of too many yellows or too many reds or too many blues, whatever. I think this is a great selection that they've come up with. So as you can see, this is the artwork that I created using the pastel pencils, and it is just a study of a cat eye. And you can see here, this was done on Clairefontaine pastel mat. So it's always kind of like beneficial if you're working on a mid-tone paper. But the good thing about pastels that it's one of the many benefits of working with pastels is that you can come in on a dark layer of pastel and come back in on it with a light pencil, a light pastel pencil, and that light pencil will take beautifully. It's not like color pencil artists where we have to work around making sure that we either leave the white of the paper for our highlights or we come up with some other Posca pen or something else to give us our really bright highlights. With pastels, you don't really have to do that. You can work light over dark beautifully. You will see if you watch the speed drawing video of this that I got really frustrated with this. You'll see it changing many times. Like, I just wasn't happy with the outcome of it. But like I say, that is nothing to do with the actual pencils. That was more to do with my inability and different things that was going on here with me at home. I just couldn't get into the groove, so to speak. I just couldn't get it right. But nevertheless, I wanted to be able to show you a little bit of artwork with the pencils, just so that you could see kind of what you can do with them. But like I say, there are many artists out there that use pastel pencils, and although they're not all pastel pencils are not all the same, they're, you know, different levels of hardness and softness and pigment levels and what have you. The Cretacolor are up there with some of the best in my opinion. Okay, so I've just got a couple of pencils here from the Cretacolor range, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of blending and mixing to create other colours, as you would do with colour pencils, but with pastels you can do it as well. And I'll show you a little bit of the you know, light over dark that you can get also. So if we say have this, I've got this yellow and this blue, and you wanted to create a green with it. So let me just lay down some colour here first, and then I'll zoom in for you. So I'm just putting a layer. Now I'm using some of the Hahnemühle Ombre paper, which is not my favourite paper to use for pastel pencils. I prefer a paper with a lot more tooth on it, like the Clairefontaine Pastel Mat or the Canson Mitens paper, or something like the brush and pencil, oh, the name escapes me now, Lux Archival, that was it, the Lux Archival paper that Aliona Nicholson came out with not that long ago. There's UArt paper as well. There's quite a lot of really nice papers out there for pastel pencils. Okay, so you can see here I've got this yellow, just a light layer. I've come in here now with this blue, and you can see it's creating this green already, and just a light layer, depending on how dark you want the green or what. So again, just coming in with this light layer, and then come back over it with the yellow just to mix it all together really. And it'll give you this nice green. Obviously you can do this with any combination of pencils. You've got to know your colour theory a little bit here to be able to get these third colours from mixing, or if you're looking for a different hue of green or something like that, maybe add an indigo blue into it if you're looking for a darker green, that type of thing. If you wanted to try and create like an orange, so again, down with the yellow. And then we'll just come in here with this red. And then come back over. With the red. There are other, like I said, other variations of pastels that you can get, like Pan Pastels are an excellent choice for big areas that you might want to do, and you can mix those in the pans or you can mix them on the paper. It really all depends. The blocks that I was telling you about, you know, there's so many different variations of pastel blocks and cylinders out there, soft, hard, ultra soft, that type of thing. But you can, you know, you can blend them all and mix them all and just create your own colours with them. So you can see there I've created an orange with the red and the yellow, and then with the blue and red. So I'll just lay some red down here to get this purple. Again, just keeping a light color, a light layer here. You don't want to press too hard. Whenever you're blending colours together, you don't want to start pressing really super hard at the beginning. Because you'll fill in the tooth of the paper, and subsequent layers after that will just be all the more difficult to lay down. So coming in here with the blue and then come back in with the red, just laying down a little bit heavier, pushing that pigment around, really, mixing it in. And you can see there, that's created a really nice purple color. So you can see there the different colors that you can get. Now if we come over here just a little bit further, so I'm just going to lay down some of this dark umber. I'm going to put quite a heavy layer down here. This is one of the things that I just absolutely love about pastel. Working with pastels is this fact that you can come back over a dark area like this with a light color to give yourself your light, your highlights. Now when you're blending this or mixing it in or whatever, you can use things like this, which is just a little sponge, but you can see here that they're it's angled to help you a little bit better. Using a sponge like that will help you push it in a little bit better without damaging the tooth of the paper. You can use your finger, but a lot of people prefer not to do that, because then you start getting the oils of your hands onto the paper. But it's all individual. It's down to you. Or you can use some paper blending stumps as well, which I don't have any lying around. I put them all away after I done my drawing, so that was silly on my part. But you can get the gist there. So that's a dark umber, and if I wanted to come in, I've got this permanent white pencil. And you can see there, I'm able to get these white, you know, if I was doing fur or something like that, I'm able to get these white highlights. Now I have to say, this comes up much better if you're using something like the Clairefontaine pastel matte paper, because it's a much more gritty paper. It's a much more coarse paper, which allows for a lot more layers and allows for coming in with this. You'll see it on the drawing that I did. If you watch the speed drawing, you will see that I come in, I put dark layers down, and then I come back in with like the ivory and the white and stuff they got for the hair of the cat around its eyes. So if you watch that, you'll see it, and you'll also see it a little bit on the still images that I provide for you as well over on the Art Gear Guide. Anyway guys, that's my review of the Cretacolor Pastel Pencils. I'm sure as you can gather, I absolutely loved them. The only issue that I had was, like I said, was the little flimsy trays, and I did have an issue with this pencil here, this green grey pencil, which was such a shame because it was one of the colours that I really wanted to use. But as you can see from the image there, I sharpened it, and each time I sharpened it, it didn't matter what instrument I sharpened it with, you can see from the photo there that the core is shattered. Now you can see there that there's a clear line across the core, and that was the case all the way down. It didn't matter how far down, you know, how much I sharpened this, the core so far just kept shattering. Maybe if I keep sharpening it further on down, hopefully the core. Now I didn't drop this. I don't know what's happened to it, but that's the only issue that I had with that green grey pencil. Which brings me on to sharpening finally. There are many different instruments that you can use for sharpening pastel pencils. Sometimes, I mean, this brass M&R sharpener, which is one of my favorite sharpeners. You get these little blades, replacement blades. They are super sharp, but even with these, because of the brittle nature of the pastel inside the pencil, they don't always work. They do for some people, but not for others. It's just one of those mysteries of the world. I prefer to use this little thing here from Caran d'Ache. This for me is really easy and simple to use. I'll just show you now how I use it. So if you need to take wood off or anything like that, it's nice and sharp. It just takes the wood off really easy. But if you need to round off your barrel, you try to get a point on your barrel, this scrapes it all off nicely. And if you watch the other videos that I've done with the Cretacolor pastel pencils, when you're doing this type of thing, if you're sharpening your core and you're going to use this, you're going to be using this color on a piece, sharpen it over, especially when you're just rounding off the core, sharpen it over the artwork so that you're not wasting any of that gorgeous pigment as it's coming off into the tin. So it's just a way of saving yourself, and then you can rub it in with your paper blender. You sometimes get these little plastic, what they call specific pastel sharpeners. I've used lots of them from lots of different brands. Not one of them has ever worked on me yet. And then of course you've got your crank sharpeners, which there's lots of different brands out there. Again, it's a hit and miss thing. Pastel pencils are notoriously difficult to sharpen. A lot of people just use craft knife, a Stanley knife, something like that, something quick which just allows you just to shave off whatever you need. And at the end of the day, because of the nature of pastels, they don't need to be super sharp. But if you have a little sanding block like these, or the paper that this little sanded block that came with the pencils, you can just rub the pencil on there and refine it down to a point, something similar to this. Let me get it out there. There you go. Something similar to that, or this umber color as well. You can see there I got a nice point on that one as well for some detail that I needed in the drawing. So you can get really nice detail with pastel pencils. They are notoriously difficult to sharpen. I know some people don't seem to have any issues whatsoever, and they are just very lucky people. I've always had little issues like this, and it's just a case of finding the right instrument for you to sharpen them. I know some people have issues with, like, medical issues with their hands, their wrists, that type of thing, which will make sharpening a pastel pencil a little bit more difficult for you. Unfortunately, the only thing I can suggest is just try a hand crank sharpener. That might be easier for you. It's very much an individual thing. Anyway, guys, I've really enjoyed doing this review. I'm so glad, I'm so happy that I got hold of these Cretacolor 72 set. I know this is a bit of a long review, and I apologize for that. Like I say, prices and things like that will all be over on the written review of this Cretacolor set. So go across and check out the written review for set sizes, set availability, links to different sets that you can buy. And also as well, I'll have some images over there of some of the other sets that they have out with regards to those artist sets, the sanguine and all of that. So you'll be able to find those over on the written review. If you've got any questions about these pencils, please by all means leave your questions in the comment section down below, and I will do my very best to answer your questions. And it's likewise over on the written review. If you've got any questions, just ask some questions in the comment section down there. You can also go across and watch the speed drawing. You'll see in the speed drawing the issues I was having. And again, like I say, that had nothing to do with the paper or the pastels. That was just me. So, but you'll see the issues nevertheless. But what you will be able to see from that drawing is that it's fairly easy no matter what you're doing, to rectify your mistakes with pastels. It's not all, you know, I'm not saying it's simple, but it's fairly easy to be able to rectify mistakes that you do with pastels. So that's another aspect of the medium that I really enjoy. And that's really about it, guys. Thank you so much for all your support. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And don't forget, I'll be doing a giveaway in the next couple of videos, so stay tuned for that. That's going to be a really nice giveaway. Thanks very much, guys. Bye.